Hello and welcome to another video update from the farm. Today is 22nd November 2025. Time is about 3 in the evening. It is raining. A few minutes ago it was actually hot. Not very hot, but sunny. And I wasn't expecting rains. Also, this is the end of the monsoon season, so any rain now is just a bonus. For a change, instead of starting from the entrance, I'm starting from the cow shed today. I wanted to give you an update on a certain problem that we encountered and how we solved it. So anyway, here are the 4 cows. This is Tulsi, here's Gomati, this is Lakshmi, and this is Sundari. Rain came, now it's again drizzling. It is still cloudy. I'm hoping that it will rain very well. Hello. Alright, so let's talk about something that we encountered. You probably will recollect that we had 2 motors. One is a submersible motor that goes into the Borewell. The left starter panel is for that. And then another one, we had an open well motor. This is the starter panel for that. So the concept, like I was explaining you earlier, is the Borewell motor is often not very consistent. It will not give water continuously, and the pressure will not be sufficient. So the idea was we will take out the Borewell motor, put them in the sump, and then have another 5 HP powerful motor that will just pump water at full pressure to the entire field, so that if required we can run rain guns. And we had made sure that the open well motor had a high head. Now when we looked at the consistency of how much water is coming out of the borewell, it was very difficult to manage. For instance, if the borewell motor, that is the panel on the left, if we turn it on, it will run for about 1 hour and then water stops. We had to give it a break for half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, and then turn it again, right? So this way, the person here really had to be on top of it to make sure that we continuously fill the water from the borewell, fill the sump, and then we can water the field. But when we realized that it is not very consistent. Sometimes it is 1 hour, sometimes it is, the water will come for 30 minutes. Really depends on the weather. Now it's rainy season, so it's running for about an hour, and then a half an hour break is sufficient, it will run again. So we said, in order to automate this, we will do a timer. And the timer is pretty much, it's a very simple timer. The way it works is, it will turn on for 30 minutes, and then it will turn off for 30 minutes, and you can set the timer. You can set it to 1 hour, you can set it to 30 minutes, 45 minutes, give it a break. You can customize it, and we thought that is a solution. But apparently what happened was, when we set the timer to, let's say, 45 minutes running, if the water gets over in 15 minutes, then the motor keeps running for 30 minutes, right? And that's a problem. We should not let the motor run dry for a longer period of time. So I got scared, then we have cut it off. So there was no timer, we had to manually manage it. Now we have discovered a solution. I got some advice from a friend near Thadi. What we have done is, instead of the standard starter starter pack in the panel, we now have something called a digital starter pack. So this one is manufactured from Coimbatore, brand called Welltech, and this will automatically turn on and turn off depending on the amperage. So probably if the amperage is over 10, or if the amperage is less than, let's say, 5, then basically there's no water, or there is some problem in the borewell, right? And we can't turn on the submersible borewell motor. So based on the amperage, as long as the amperage is around let's say 5 to 10, the motor will turn on automatically. And when there is no water, the amperage drops, and subsequently the motor also turns off. And when the water refills again, the motor will turn on. So basically, the part that we were trying to do with the timer, which was semi-automatic, is now fully automated. And this is very good. Like, I really like the setup. This costed us about 7,000, and then additionally, I've also done one float. A float is something like this. You must have seen in typical domestic houses. Do you see that red float there? There's a float, and there's also a sensor there. This has been put on the sump. So the way it works is like this. When the water goes down from the sump, the red part keeps going down, and then when the water fills up, when the red part is aligned with the black part, then it triggers some sort of a signal, and then it will turn off the motor automatically. And that float is connected in the same starter pack. So basically, overall, the motor, if there's water in the borewell, it will turn on automatically. If there is no water, it will turn off automatically. And if the sump is full on the other side, it won't turn on. If the water level is below the float level, then it will turn on automatically. So net, I think we have achieved this full automation. The most important thing is there should be water in the borewell, and as long as there's water, I think we should be fine. So we've got rid of the consistency problem, and I thought I'll just quickly share an update. The one on the right is the starter panel for the open well motor, which is on the sump, and the one in the middle is the changeover switch. So if we put it at the bottom, the main borewell gets connected. If we put it at the top, then we could just irrigate the field with the open well motor. That is also submersible. You must have probably seen in some of my prior videos. A very quick update on the farm. No major updates. Like I mentioned in the last week, the priority was to clean up the weeds from the perimeter of the farm where we have done marigold and chili. Unfortunately, we could not find people this week. Most of them were not available, mostly due to personal reasons, and they are also getting employed by the government for lake projects. So they get paid like I think around 300 or 400 per day, and usually the entire village goes there. So I just could not find anybody this week. Hopefully in the upcoming week we can find some people, we can clear off the weeds. I think weed cleaning is the most important priority. Jeevamritam is working as intended. Only issue I'm having is with the filtration system. The one that we have right now is probably just 50% okay. So as long as we are able to sediment the night before the Jeevamrita in the yellow tank, clear water comes out, and maybe with 1-2 times cleaning of the filter, it still goes inside the irrigation pipe network. But if we add more water and if we try to dilute, then the solid particles that are settled at the bottom kind of gets mixed with the entire tank, and then this filtering is not yet fully effective. Excuse me. At the moment we just have these chips, 40 mm and 20 mm jelly. I do not have any sand. I think that's the problem. We need either small gravel or sand as a layer, and then we'll probably put a mosquito mesh, and with that hopefully this filter system would work. Only thing is it's going to be very slow. So we should do another setup here. I'm thinking about doing one more tank like this and connecting them at the bottom so that we can double the capacity. That will be 400 liters. So overnight we could just open it, and hopefully in the morning we'll have the clear Jeevamrita for 400 liters. So that's the idea on the Jeevamrita filter. Otherwise the Venturi, the screen filter, everything is working as intended. And this is the most important part of the drip irrigation network. This is air release valve, like I mentioned earlier. Whenever the pressure gets mounted, especially if the screen filter gets stuck with debris, then the pressure really increases here. You could actually monitor that here. It will go from about 20 to like 40 psi, and whenever that happens, ideally if this is not controlled, then the drip network could break. And even if by accident if we close any of the other drip valves, the drip network could break, and since all of them are buried under the soil, it will be very difficult to find where the breakage is. So this is the savior. This is the air release valve. So whenever pressure exceeds a certain psi, I think we have set it to about 5, then this opens and extra water just comes out. It's called pressure release valve. We also have air release valves everywhere. So this is these air release valves, pressure release valves are super important for the drip network. I think that's all the updates that I had today. I think the next steps will be just to focus on clearing the weeds on the sides. And then maybe once rainy season stops, then we will monitor how quickly this tank is getting filled up with the help of the automated system. And then if water is absolutely not sufficient, then we will have to think of another borewell. But I'm just hoping we can avoid doing another borewell and we can just survive with this. All right, friends, that's all I had this week. I will catch you on a video later. Bye bye.